What's good, YouTube? Adriannthakidd back with another reaction video. Today we got the tree tier list, you know what I'm saying? Another video by Tier Zoo. You feel me? I like doing these tier lists because like I like to, you know what I'm saying, express my opinion on certain stuff, you know what I'm saying? Certain animals, creatures, you know what I'm saying? But today we got trees, you know what I'm saying? I don't I don't, I don't think bro's talking about that type of tree, you know what I'm saying, bro? I think you're talking about like apple tree, orange trees, you know what I'm saying? We got a freaking what is it? Grapefruit tree in my backyard, you know what I'm saying? So we be going out to pick them. So we gonna see how he like rank the trees, you know what I'm saying? I'll see if I agree. Let's get it. Alright.
Trees are one of the most meta-defining organisms in the game.
Facts.
When the devs first added them to the game back during the Carboniferous expansion pack, they were so
I like how
overpowered that
like
they increased the oxygen level to the highest
like
it's ever
refer to
been,
everything as
inadvertently
like
buffing the
a
max
video
HP
game
of the
terms.
arthropod faction. Since then, they've been an ever-present aspect of the game that
Facts.
defines how many of the top builds construct their various game strategies. For example, many of the top builds spec into claws that grant them mobility bonuses in the arboreal biome.
They be sleeping
which
up in the
is literally
trees,
a biome that
eating
only
off the
exists
trees.
because of how overpowered trees are. But are all trees equally overpowered?
Nah.
Obviously, the only way to answer that question would be with a tier list. So let's get into it.
Hold on. I think number one gotta be like a maple tree or an apple tree.
Obviously, this can't be an exhaustive list, but nonetheless, it's what must be done. There aren't any F tier trees, so we're going to start in D tier.
Dang, all the
birch
trees
tree
like that.
has some of the lowest defenses of any tree in the game.
All right,
of all the tree builds, this one has the thinnest
that,
bark,
Bambi?
making it highly vulnerable to damage that
Bambi
other tree
tree?
builds would easily ignore.
Like
For
the deer.
example, damage from deer players sharpening
look,
their
look.
antlers, or woodpeckers drilling for prey. Most tree builds don't even take damage from this, as their bark would completely nullify it. But the birch
I've
tree
never
is
seen a
uniquely
tree like that.
vulnerable. On top of this, birch trees are actually more flammable than most trees due
Oh.
to their oily sap and paper-like bark.
Somebody
Now, all
lit that
trees are
thing
weak
on
to
fire,
fire,
bruh.
but many of them at least have ways of mitigating this vulnerability, as we shall see with many of the higher-ranking members on this list.
All
Next
right.
on the list is the oak tree. The
Oak
oak
tree?
is one of the most powerful tree builds in the late game. It can grow higher and wider than most other tree builds.
Yeah,
allowing it to
hey,
crowd
oak
out its
trees be
competition.
biggest.
It has thick bark, which protects it from weak damage. The oak is also protected at least somewhat from parasites,
Bro, caterpillars
because
make
its wood
me
and foliage
like
contain tannic acid, a natural deterrent.
tweak out
This is all really
nonsense, bro.
solid,
It's
and in
weird.
general, once an oak reaches the late game, it's one of the most powerful and durable tree builds. However,
Isn't that
oaks
like
have a really
freaking
difficult
Oakland's
early game,
one of Oakland's
more
symbols or
difficult
something,
than
or am
most
I
tree
just
builds.
tripping? I don't
The
know.
starting form of the oak build is the acorn, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
highly sought after by omnivorous
Bro,
players,
look at that,
as they're a
like-
great source of XP.
Alvin, Simon, hey, Theodore, hey, nah, you know what I'm saying? Look at this fat rat looking at on my screen, bro.
So despite oak trees being a great build overall, lately they've been falling in
Got 2 nuts in his
viability as
mouth.
the number of small
Shaboing
scavenger
boing.
builds, like squirrels and woodpeckers, have seen a surge in population recently. To combat
Increase
this,
consumption of acorns.
some oak tree clans have started implementing a strategy where they'll drop 0 acorns some years, starving out the local scavenger players, and then
Dang!
releasing extra the following
So a
year,
tree just
giving
decided to
new
kill
oak
off all the
maidens a better
squirrels?
chance to survive. In B tier, we have the maple tree. The maple build is sort of the jack of all
There go my
trades
tree.
of the tree faction. While it can't grow as large as some of the others, it doesn't get
Wait,
crowded
didn't I
out
say
nearly
maple?
as easily as birch
forgot.
trees do. Its bark isn't as impenetrable as builds like the oak, but it also certainly isn't weak. One of the reasons maple players can spawn in new locations so easily
Doesn't maple
is that their
syrup, like
seeds actually
spawn
have
off the
flight
tree?
ability. While not quite as effective as the drifting ability of plants like the dandelion and milkweed, the maple can still travel long distances with its helicopter Samara seeds. Nothing else about the maple
I was about
is
to say, I
particularly
was like,
broken,
bro,
though,
I
and
thought you needed a
oftentimes
seed to
this
grow a
playstyle
tree, not a
eventually
leaf.
gets overshadowed by trees that grow bigger and stronger and choke out the maples. Perhaps if the maple didn't put so many points into
I like those
aesthetics,
leaves.
they'd be top
I'll
tier.
never be seeing them
In A
though.
tier, we have perhaps one of the most meta-defining tree builds in the entire game, the mangrove.
Mangrove.
Mangrove is the only tree build in the game
I think I
that
heard of
specs
that.
into salt resistance, allowing it to grow in shallow places along the coast of the ocean. This creates an entirely new in-game
Bro, these
biome
trees are
called the
different.
mangrove
I
swamp.
ain't gonna lie.
The mangrove swamp is unique among the game's biomes in that it creates an extremely healthy meta for arboreal builds, because they no longer have to fear attacks from ground-based predators. Mangrove
Know what I'm
swamps are
saying?
havens for new aquatic bird players, as well as low tiers like the sloth, seeing as most builds that are prone to griefing
Bro, I
them
thought sloth.
aren't fond of
Hold
trees
on.
low tiers
My bad.
like the sloth.
I thought sloths like climb up stuff slow. And is a sloth the type of monkey?
Seeing as most builds that are prone to griefing them aren't fond of traversing a salty swamp. Salt resistance is an ability that often gets overlooked, but in the right situations, it can turn a lesser known mid-tier into a dominant high tier. The top tier tree is the conifer. The
The
conifer build is a
conifer?
unique take on the tree build that makes some very interesting choices when it comes to their abilities. The most obvious is that they've opted to spec into needles rather than
No!
leaves, offering a few advantages and disadvantages. The biggest advantage is that needles don't fall during winter. They're compact enough that they can survive frosts, so the conifer is
Whatever.
free to harvest all the XP it wants from the sun, even during the winter when other trees can't.
Okay.
But in addition to that, needles also don't catch wind near as much, meaning high winds can't blow conifers over nearly as easily as they could a tree with broad leaves on it.
Dog. In my neighborhood, bro, a few times, actually, like trees that people had in their front yard would just like fall on their mailbox, just like fall on like on their yard and stuff. And they would have to like get a whole crew to come pick it up, bro. I don't know what type of tree them is, but don't get that one.
Needles are also much tougher for insects to munch on, and also retain water much more effectively, meaning droughts or deep freezes don't dehydrate conifer players. Their disadvantage? Conifers are extremely weak to fire damage. Their waxy needles catch fire much easier than most trees. However, this is where the conifer's final ability comes into play. Their pine cones are fire resistant and spread seeds more often after being scorched by a flame. Because of
that's
this,
what's up.
conifers
They
turn their
can
main
respawn,
weakness into a
pretty
strength.
much.
Due to this amazing slew of abilities, I have to give the ranking of S tier to the conifers. It's no wonder that the giant sequoia, the largest tree build in the game,
Yeah.
is part of the
How
conifer
is Sequoia
faction.
not number one, bro?
However, as OP as
They be
trees
going
are,
like
it's
100
no
feet.
secret that since the Anthropocene patch, forests have started to disappear,
100,000.
from mangrove swamps to rainforests. Trees are powerful enough to shape the state of the game, to the point that many builds have their playstyle tailored to fit the arboreal environment. But as powerful as trees are, they could use our help respawning.
Facts.
That's why Team Trees, the movement started by Mr. Beast and Mark Rober, and the
Not finna get me with no promo, baby. All right, man. Hey, so
largest
that was the tree tier list, man. Let me know what y'all thought about that one. You know what I'm saying? Adriannthakidd, the science teacher, back in his bed. I think, I feel like, bro, the Christmas tree hockey should have won, bro. They hold my Christmas tree. You know what I'm saying? We'll get them next time. Free Santa Claus. We out.